Today on Jules FM, I'm joined by Elyse Villani, Australian cricketing great whose career spanned international success, domestic dominance, and standout leadership. Elyse represented Australia for 10 years, won multiple World Cups, and has been a powerhouse of domestic cricket, captaining Tassie Tigers to 3 consecutive WNCL titles and finishing her WBBL career on a high, leading Hobart Hurricanes to their first championship. In today's conversation, we talk about longevity, leadership, and how identity has evolved across different chapters of the game. Elyse, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks very much for having me. It was a nice, kind intro. Thank you.
Not at all. So let's go back to the beginning. How did cricket enter your life?
Yeah, I guess I fell into it, to be honest. I've got 3 older brothers, so I guess at the start didn't really have much choice because I just wanted to do everything that they did, followed them around. We played backyard cricket. We had a basketball hoop in the backyard. We played footy, kick to kick. So yeah, we were a bit of I guess a sporting family. Played a lot of hockey as well. So yeah, we like just absolutely loved it. I do often say I'm not sure how I ended up choosing cricket though, because it was probably the game that I got the least amount of go in against my brothers. Like I never got to bat. I never got to bowl. I was basically just fielding all the time. So like when I actually think about it, I'm not sure how it happened, but yeah, that was sort of the start of my journey, I guess.
So you were just filling a place out in the field that they couldn't cover.
Well, I feel like it was like, oh, let's just basically use me as a witch's hat. And then my brother, who's just 2 years older than me, he always had a really bad temper. So the game would almost end before I got to bat every time because he would crack it when he went out. So yeah, I always seemed to miss out. But maybe that sort of, I guess, added fuel to the fire. Who knows?
And I want to know, was it one bounce, one hand, like those important rules of backyard cricket?
Yeah, absolutely. Everything on the full is out, over the fence is 6 and out, one hand, one bounce, auto keeper, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it was pretty fiery in the backyard, that's for sure.
Excellent. Well, tell me, because you've been in the game a long time, over 18 years. What is it what do you still love about the game?
I guess for me, it's probably something that you never feel like you nail. It's a really difficult game. Tactically, things are thrown at you that are so different. Every situation that you find yourself in, so it's a constant challenge, and I do love that. And there's plenty of lows in the game as well, but the highs that you experience when you're a part of a winning team, or you achieve something that you've been working on, or you play a shot that you'd spent weeks working on in the nets, like they really, I guess, counteract the lows in a way, and you feel this sense, like this incredible sense of achievement along the journey. So yeah, I would say that the constant challenge and always striving to be the best that I can be, and wanting to be a part of winning teams and see other people succeed as well. I think it's just been a constant driver for me.
Where did it come from? Is that something you watched your parents do, strive, or your brothers, or where did that drive come from?
I'm not sure, to be honest. My parents worked incredibly hard. My dad worked incredibly hard with us growing up, supporting 4 kids, and then my mum worked incredibly hard, I guess, taking care of us and taking us to a lot of sport and stuff. So, in some respects, I would say, the hard work that they put into raising us and giving us as many opportunities as they could was definitely inspiring. Dad was always had these little sayings like measure twice, cut once, and all these sort of things. So he's an accountant. So yeah, I would say that they've both got a huge work ethic. But I also feel like I've loved achieving things. I've always loved that sense of achievement when I've worked to something and then I've gotten a result, whether that be studying for a test at school and then seeing that result, or I guess like, just the small things along the way, like you've worked on something in the nets or in the field, and then you see it come off, and it's like, oh, that sense of achievement along the way. Like I've always really, I guess, enjoyed that feeling, and feel as though I'm yeah, I don't know, like it's sort of like my brain just keeps going. And I do have to work on that a little bit to stay still, because I am someone who who likes to write lists and achieve things during the day and all that sort of stuff. So I do sort of have that, I guess, that mind where I always want to be ticking things off and achieving things along the way, no matter how big or small they are.
Oh, it's a good feeling. I love a list and I love tick that
That's
off.
it.
It is. I can appreciate that. So some people have a really clear moment, and for others, it's a slower kind of knowing. How did cricket become your thing? And I know you said earlier you're not sure how you fell into that of all the sports, but like, was there a point where you went, "This is it. This is the one I'm going to do. I'm going to stick at."
I think so. I played my two sports that I sort of stuck out a lot were hockey and cricket. And one was a winter sport and one was a summer sport. And um, I guess for me, like how much time I wanted to spend on my skills in cricket was always a lot more than hockey. So what I loved about hockey was it felt like more of a team game in a sense. But I really wanted to go to the nets and work on my batting, and I'd always get mum or dad or a close family friend in Stoddy to take me to the nets and underarm me balls. And so I feel like once I made my first state team when I was 9, from that it really sparked something in me to want to spend the time and how I guess like yeah, the sense of achievement, like I mentioned earlier, in making that team and representing Victoria, and I guess playing with other like-minded people, and wanting to sort of be the best that I could be, and then meeting some heroes along the way and seeing what they were achieving. And I had posters on my wall growing up and all the steps that I needed to take to get to the Australian team and sort of ticking them off along the way. And yeah, I think for me, like that was sort of how much time I wanted to spend on my skills was kind of what made it really clear that was the sport for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have been called a pioneer in cricket. I mean, you started way back when, before women's cricket was getting any publicity or any airtime. What was that like?
It was interesting. It's quite funny to think of where the game is now, and where it was when I first started. I certainly wouldn't think of myself as a pioneer because I feel as though the way that I've been able to experience this back end of my career, um, I feel like the pioneers have really come before me when they sort of their whole career, it was deemed as semi-professional, and there was no money in the game, and they weren't on TV and all that sort of stuff. So um, yeah, I think like when I first started, I was wearing culottes and long socks,
Yeah.
and and the girls in my team now, they don't even know what culottes are. So it's quite remarkable to see just how far it's come. And I guess I was the only girl playing in an all boys team. It wasn't even called a mixed team. It was an all boys team at that stage. And I used to be a little bit embarrassed, I guess, that, telling my school friends that I did play cricket. I sort of used to really focus on other sports that were, I guess, deemed more like female friendly
Definitely.
sports.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sort of stand out any more than I already felt like I did, if that makes sense. But then when I found more females playing cricket, I found a real community where, they're still my best friends today. And I absolutely love the people that I've been able to meet along the way. That's probably, my biggest highlight of my whole career is the people that I've found along the way. But yeah, I just feel incredibly grateful because it's something that I never thought was achievable within my career timeline, I guess. So I went to uni full time. I thought that I would be a full time teacher. And just as I was about to become a full time teacher, I decided I'll spend a year. Um, I guess I'll take a year off and I'll play cricket in England and all that sort of stuff. And then that's when I was picked back into the Aussie team. And then that's when money was starting to be introduced. So the whole landscape shifted really, really quickly. But yeah, it's certainly something I never thought would be achievable within my timeline.
That's pretty cool that you've actually seen that transition, that you've experienced it too. I
Yeah.
know my sister-in-law was very similar and not about the same age, I think, but she was playing footy. And when she started, it was the same. She was one girl on a boys' team. There was no
Mm.
girls' teams, and she had the same sort of experience. I'm like, Wow, it's come so far in, look, relatively short time. It could have happened faster. We've really had to forge the way for women being equal. But yeah, no, it's amazing the career you've seen, which is really incredible. Was there one moment in particular that you can remember that really shaped your career or your feeling of the game?
I don't think there was ever one moment. Like I think there was probably lots of little moments along the way. Whether that be really difficult conversations with coaches, or I was in and out of the Aussie team a little bit, so I was being dropped and then having to bounce back from that, having to kind of, I guess, work out in a sense that, in a way, elite sport isn't fair, and being okay with that. And I think that's probably helped shape who I am today in that, um, like it's not, it's kind of funny that, your selection is, I guess, decided by someone external, if that makes sense. It doesn't sort of
Absolutely.
matter how many runs you make or anything like that. At the end of the day, like your fate is almost decided by someone else. And I think that took me a long time to come to terms with. But then once I sort of understood that, I wanted to play cricket for the little girl inside that just loved playing backyard cricket with her brothers. And it became less about making teams and all that sort of stuff. When I sort of was able to zoom out, and not be so focused on individual achievements, because let's face it, when you're an elite athlete, it can be a really small bubble. You can be incredibly selfish, but what I've enjoyed most about cricket is that it is a team sport and you meet incredible people along the way. So the more I focused on that stuff and the stuff that I could control, the more I actually enjoyed cricket, and the more success, I guess, I was able to experience, because I wasn't putting so much pressure on myself and I was enjoying the journey along the way. So I think there was a lot of sort of moments, yeah, along the way that helped me understand, what I wanted to get out of elite sport. And potentially it took me a little bit longer than it could have. But you kind of get to where you are in your own time, if that makes sense. And yeah, I've been fortunate enough to play, cricket at this level for 19 years, and represent states and big bash teams in Australia along the way. So yeah, I think, there was not one defining moment, but there was many along the way.
Yeah. And you mentioned, being dropped and picked back up from the Australian team and things. How did you deal with that? Like, what was your self-talk at that time? Because it could have been really easy to go, oh, that's it, I'm done. And
Absolutely.
so what did you like, how did you manage that?
I think, it was a journey, and it's a funny, individual team sport, cricket is.
Mm,
You can win as a team and perform terribly as an individual and have really conflicting emotions. So I guess for me, like, the good thing is that the resourcing in psychology has improved over the last however many years, and that's something that I've always really valued. In understanding what's controllable, what's not controllable, your emotions and your feelings, and the actions that you can take. And it's really easy to have really negative self-talk and basically call yourself the shittest cricketer going around. But that's not helpful, and logically you can say that's not helpful and I shouldn't be saying that,
yeah.
but emotionally, like, that is how you feel and that is where you're at. So just understanding how to manage that and bring things back to process. And so a really big focus of my career, probably in the back half, was being about process driven, understanding what my process is as an individual, understanding the process as a team, and almost like, finding a way to be okay with failure, because you fail so many more times than you succeed. And it's almost like, how can you shift that narrative from failure being a bad thing to failure becoming a lesson, and allowing you to continue to build and grow from those moments. And for me, understanding what acceptable failure was and what wasn't acceptable from a failure point of view. So the way that I wanted to play, the processes, and if it came down to an execution thing, then so be it. But I became really focused on the processes along the way, and I got enjoyment out of that, and it allowed me to, I guess, become a little less emotional when things didn't go well, because I had a, I guess, a process to look back on and not just think everything's shit because of a certain outcome. So I think that was probably the biggest shift that I made towards the second half of my career.
And do you feel like you're good with that now? Like, can you see that failure is such an amazing opportunity to grow? Like, do you apply that to other areas of your life as well? Like, is that something you've adopted and, kind of learned from, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that takes a lot of practice as well. You can't just
Yeah.
say, I'm going to be okay. Like, you still have
It
feelings
hurts.
attached to it.
Yeah.
And you still have disappointment, and that's completely normal. But it's almost like, how can you lessen that disappointment, or how can you have something positive to focus on, and that's sticking to a process and staying true to yourself. So by understanding, I guess, my individual values along the way as well, means that, in my life decisions, I can stay true to myself, and I can think about what my processes are along the way. And then, I'm not going to get everything right, and I'm going to continue to make mistakes, but at least if I am willing to stay true to myself, and true to the process, then I'm giving myself the best chance of, I guess, being as happy as I can be, and living a fulfilled life.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, I'm not sure how you'll go with this one, but what was it like? Can you describe for us what it felt, looked, sounded like to be standing on that pitch, like on a big before a big moment or something like that?
I was always a very nervous person. So I really struggled to eat the morning of games. And when I was thinking about the start of the game, I found it really difficult. I'm thinking of all the way that things can go wrong, and so I guess I'm in my own head a little bit, and I'm quite nervous. There would be many times where I'd be sick before games, and that never changed throughout my career. And almost like, once I started, sorry, I'm getting pulled by my puppy here. Um,
Right.
once I actually got on the pitch and started doing something, and then my mind could shift towards, like, what's actually happening, and get in the contest, then I actually felt like relieved, in a sense that, like, oh my goodness, all the waiting's finished. I can actually get on with it now. So yeah, being in the contest, it's sort of like everything else disappeared, and it gave me some real tangible things to focus on. And I loved that, because it sort of took my focus on all the stuff that doesn't matter onto the stuff that did matter, and there was a great sense of relief and excitement to get the battle underway.
Awesome. So a career that spans 19 years, that's a long time. How have you stayed motivated all this time?
Well, I guess for me, like, I've been in different environments along the way, which I've found incredibly motivating, and there's always new challenges that pop up when that is the case. And that's something that I've really enjoyed, experiencing different environments, playing with different people. It never became stale for me throughout my whole career. Um, and I don't know, I found it really easy to stay motivated, because I loved the game. Like, I loved the game. And there was always things that I wanted to work on. So because there was really obvious that there was always things to work on, and my love for the game was always there, it became really easy to stay motivated. The thing that I struggled the most with was not to become super, like, focused on one thing, and to make sure I didn't become obsessed with something, and some other part of my game go out the window, because I'm like, "Oh, I just really want to nail this shot," and then it's like, okay, well, now you can nail that shot, but you've five other shots over here aren't very good. So yeah, and to sort of stay present and yeah, I could become all consumed by cricket and always think about how can I get better? How can the team get better? And be sitting on my couch and really ruminating around training that day and stuff. So, yeah, motivation for me was never an issue, except during preseason. I mean, no one loves preseason. There's a lot of things you need to do that you don't love. The games are what you live for. Um, but yeah, probably just staying balanced outside of cricket and switching off, especially once I sort of became captain of teams.
Pressure.
And I was always thinking about the environment and other people and, what I could do to help the group. That was, yeah, quite consuming and, yeah, something that I struggled with at times. But at the same time, I loved captaining because it gave me something else other than myself to focus on. And I loved thinking about the environment. I loved thinking about how we can grow as a team and how I can help someone else. And, if someone else was struggling, like what could I do? So I actually really loved that because it took the focus away from me overthinking myself and my own game, and it allowed me to spend energy and time focusing on other things that gave me great joy. Because if I didn't score any runs or I didn't feel like I contributed to the team that day, I felt like I could still contribute in other ways, and that's what I loved about captaining.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, how did you balance that? What else were you doing outside of cricket then to kind of keep some status quo?
Well, early on, it was really easy because, we didn't get paid for it or anything like that. So I was studying, working, we were only training a few times a week. It wasn't that
All
serious
consuming.
in a sense. It was more of a hobby. But then as the money sort of came in and the expectations and the time that you were spending on your game and that sort of thing, it did become more difficult because you sign a contract and there's lots of things that you can't do. So you can't play other sports and all this sort of stuff. And, certain things you can do on holidays or not do on holidays. So
Mm,
no extreme activities.
yeah.
So, um, and I'm like quite a sporty person and, like I loved playing other sports growing up. So it sort of does mean that you have to really focus on cricket, but, I've loved, as I mentioned earlier, the people that I've met along the way. So just investing in relationships outside of cricket, spending time doing things that fill my bucket or relax me, like reading, grabbing a coffee, going for a walk with the dog,
Mm.
and just yeah, just talking a bit of shit with other people over a coffee was always nice as well. So yeah, it was probably the simple things that I really enjoyed, but making sure that I really booked that in because it's quite tiring as well.
Yeah,
So
I bet.
you've got long days, you're physically and emotionally exhausted. So making sure that I actually had that stuff booked in, because although I'd get around to it and I'd be like, geez, I just want to lay on the couch and veg here. When I left any of those interactions or finished any of those activities, I always left feeling more energized.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so you found the balance, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That's good. Looking back, what advice would you give your younger self about pressure or expectations on yourself?
Yes, I feel like I got more of a grip of this in the second half of my career, so I definitely wish I had have brought it in earlier. And I guess that was all around cricket doesn't define my worth as a person. How successful I am on the pitch or not on the pitch doesn't mean that I'm a good or a bad person or worth more or people are going to love me more or love me less or anything like that. So I think probably the main thing is like understanding why I first started playing cricket and really understanding that. And I guess getting quite deep on that and then focusing and sticking to that throughout the hard times and the good times to remain as consistent as possible. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give my younger self, as well as like working hard because, talent can only get you so far. And I probably didn't dive into my work ethic enough and, until the second part of my career. I dived into the stuff that I enjoyed the most. But with elite sport, there's lots of things that you need to do that you don't enjoy, to help make you, I guess, the best cricketer that you can be, and be in the best physical shape possible to be able to stay on the park and compete at a high level. So yeah, probably those things, but definitely focusing on the things that I could control and letting go of the things that I couldn't control.
I guess, I don't know, I imagine that becomes more difficult once you start getting paid. The expectation could easily shift from intrinsic to extrinsic. And I guess that like you said, going back to remembering why you did it, would be a great anchor. So, but we learn that with maturity too, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you sort of you want to pass those lessons on to other people, younger people that you're playing with. But ultimately, I'm sure there were older players that were trying to pass that on to
Yeah.
me. But you're only ready when you're ready, and everyone's journey is different. And I guess it's really easy to sit back and think about what I would have told my younger self, but I'm not sure my younger self would have listened, to be completely honest. And maybe I wasn't ready to listen, and maybe the greatest lessons are the ones that you figure out yourself along the way in your own time.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Tell me, what's the best advice you ever received then?
Um, the best, I think of all the bad advice I received, to be honest.
Sometimes that helps in reverse, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, I think the best advice I ever received was um, coaches will come and go, um, and it's almost like for a long time there, I think I was trying to please coaches and fit into a certain mold that I thought that they would want, and therefore pick me and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, the best advice I got was that coaches will come and go, teammates will come and go, the teams that you're in will change and shift along the way, but you've got to decide, who do you want to be as a player, and stay true to that, and what do you want your teammates to be able to say about you in the change room. um, and that was amazing because it got me focusing about the stuff that really mattered, and got my focus away from the stuff that didn't matter. Oh, this coach doesn't like me, or anything like that, or
Mm.
this person's getting favored over me, or at the end of the day, you can't control any of that stuff. And what happens if that coach isn't there in 12 months time? I've just spent 12 months trying to be something that I'm not, or
Gotta be what they
yeah,
wanted you
try
to be.
exactly. So yeah, that was definitely the best piece of advice. Like, what do I want my teammates to say about me? What kind of player do I want to be? And when I walk off the field, I guess, have I stayed true to that?
So tell me, what kind of legacy did you want to leave? How did you want to be perceived and from your time in cricket?
I think for me, I wanted to be perceived as someone that people enjoy taking the field with. And I wanted to, like, I wanted to try and be a good teammate. And I guess that's for other people to decide if I actually did that or
Yeah.
not. Yeah, I enjoyed playing cricket, and um I wanted to add something to the group dynamic, or the change room, and I wanted to inspire other people to enjoy the game as well, and have fun doing it, and be connected and united as a group, and someone that I guess people would look at and say that, like, she gave it her best. I didn't want people to ever look at me and think that I was a downhill skier or anything like that. So that was probably, yeah, the most important things for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now that you've retired from cricket, what's next?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've retired from the Big Bash. Yeah, and
Okay,
I'm
yeah. So you
yeah,
keep playing?
yeah, thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the plans? What are you thinking?
Um, yes, it's a good question. I'm I'd like to hopefully start a family at some stage. That's something that I'd like to do if I'm lucky enough for that to happen. And I'd like to find another passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been, really passionate about cricket for such a long time, and playing cricket. And I guess what that has left me with is that the next phase of my life that I go into, I want to find a place where I'm really passionate about it, where I work with like-minded people, and I feel like I'm working towards something that matters. What that is at the moment, I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that people are really important to me, and environments are really important to me. It is probably something that I'm having to work on a little bit, and still speaking to my psych and stuff around learning to, I guess, sit still a little bit, and being in a space where you don't know what opportunities are around the corner, I guess. But I do know that I don't just want to find a job just to pay the bills. And hopefully I'm lucky enough that can happen. And I know that's not always the case, and I know that's much easier said than done and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I've just been able to do something that I've loved for so long, that I'd find it really difficult, and I'd be prepared to, like, I guess, follow that journey wherever that takes
Yeah.
me, and hopefully make the difficult choices along the way, so that I can give myself the best chance of finding an environment and a job that I guess really fills my bucket, and that I'm a good fit for. So
Would
yeah,
you go back
we'll
to
wait and
teaching?
see. No, I think it's in sport for me. But I don't know exactly what that looks like. But I think that although I've never taught full time, I did some relief teaching. And I feel as though what I learnt along the way through my uni degree and doing some bits and pieces of teaching is that it's a lot of lessons that you can take to elite sport, because it's all about people, and it's all about working with different people, and working out how different people work. And so I feel like a lot of that goes over to sort of that coaching, high performance area. So it won't be teaching as such, but it will definitely incorporate the skills that a teacher has.
Yep, that makes sense. Great skills.
Yes.
So, for someone listening, what advice would you give them if they're wanting to start, and well, I guess probably where you're at again now, though, wanting to start something though that they're passionate about? What would your advice be to them?
Well, I'm a bit of a risk taker, whereas my dad, as I mentioned, he's an accountant and he's very conservative. So it sort of really stresses him out, because he's always been asking me, Elise, what are you going to do afterwards? You're going to have to find a job. And it really stresses him out, because, he's used to
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. But I guess for me, I want to be prepared to take risks, and think about what's really important to me, and I guess like what my values are, and finding a place to align with that. And um, I think that's the most important thing is, if I'm in a job or a workplace that feels aligned to who I am, then I think that that's giving me the best chance of feeling as though I'm valued, feeling as though I'm somewhere that um, you know feels like quite homely to me in a way. So I think it's just like being really clear on what your values are, what's important to you. And I guess everyone's individual circumstances are very different. So yeah, you sort of might have to compromise here and there, which is life. And you do that. But yeah, I guess, yeah, really thinking about your values, and finding alignment in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I think that's where we get that fulfillment. And it's also, we were all born with different passions and purpose. And I think if you can find some capacity in your life to be doing that, then you're winning. So,
That's it.
last question. What does success mean to you now? And has that definition changed over time?
Definitely, it's changed over time. I've always, yeah, I guess it's funny because I think in elite sport you can have process success and you can have outcome success, and I've always been really clear on what both of those look like. Um, and that the outcome is much harder to achieve than the process, but they're both really important, I guess, measures of success. And I think for me, it's yeah, I guess how can I guess I don't know. I don't. I think this is a bit too simple at the moment, and I'm probably still working through it. But like, how can I get out of bed each day and be excited? How can I, you know, do something that brings me joy and brings me fulfillment? And that's sort of what success is, rather than winning titles and making individual contributions, or as a captain tactically feeling like I got something right. It's a little bit more like, okay, well, how can I be, the most supportive partner? How can I wake up and feel excited to do what I want to do today? Yeah, it's just sort of, I don't know, a little bit more life.
I don't think that's simple at all. I think that's the measure that measure would make so many people happy. Like if that's what our aim was every day, just to wake up, feel good, feel joy, find something that brings us happiness, then we're winning. I agree.
Yes.
So no, not at all. Well, Elise, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, there is actually one last question. Is there anything else that I haven't asked that you would like to share with any listeners? Any advice, anything, any thoughts on?
Think so, but I guess for me, it's really easy to see, like, I was able to play for Australia. I was able to play for a really long time and win titles along the way. But when I first started playing cricket, I was horrendous. Like, I was so bad. I was horrendous, and I wasn't thinking about those goals, and I didn't think those things were achievable when I first started. So I guess for me, you don't have to be amazing at something when you first start. But as long as you enjoy something, then I guess you're not entirely sure what's possible from that. So that, I guess the most important thing is find the things that you enjoy, and then naturally you'll invest more time into it, and then you have absolutely no idea where it may take you.
That is such fantastic advice. I love it. Just give it a
Thank you.
go. Get out there and do it. Elise, thank you so much for your time. It's just been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jules.